What's up, guys? Neil over here taking a look at Stokastic's MLB DFS Lineup Generator for tonight's slate. It is August 2nd. While you're coming in, please do like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification button so you can get alerts when our shows go live. If you have not yet signed up for the Lineup Generator, you can still get it for 50% off your first week using the link in my tweet or in the description of this video. If you're on YouTube, it's going to be just $4.48 for your first week, just $8.95 after that. Still a fantastic deal for a tool that is only going to give you profitable lineups over the long term. Doesn't mean it's necessarily going to win today, whatever lineups you play, but over the long term, if you keep playing these lineups, you should make money. All right, let's take a look, starting with some DraftKings lineups. I'm going to do all stack types, all lineup types. So I should get a mix of chalky, balance, and contrarian lineups. And then I'm not going to lock in anybody. All right, first lineup we see here, you can see it's on the chalky end of the spectrum. And as we go through lineups, you're going to see this is going to bounce all over the place. We'll see some chalky lineups, some contrarian lineups. One thing that's not going to change is every lineup we see is going to be, in this top 10% or so in terms of projection. Okay, first lineup we have is Dylan Cease and Joe Ryan as the pitchers. Looking in the top pitchers tool, we've got Joe Ryan 4th overall with an 18% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. Dylan Cease 6th overall with a 16% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. Ryan, of course, a lot more expensive, coming in at fairly low ownership. Dylan Cease a bit cheaper, and then getting a little bit more ownership as well. And then the bats, we've got a 5-2 Cub stack. So it's a 5-0 stack, but then we get two Mets in there as the secondary stack slides in there. And then Joey Gallo as the one-off. Looking in the top stacks tool, Cubs are top of the board with a 13% chance of being the top stack on the slate. The Mets, 10% chance of being the top stack as well. So it looks like a nice lineup to start. Second lineup looks like it is also very, very similar, actually, very chalky. Now we have Garrett Cole and Shane McClanahan as the pitchers. Cole, top of the board, 27% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. McClanahan, 5th overall with a 17% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. We once again had a Cubs stack. This time it is a 5-3, full 5-3 stack, Cubs and Mets. All right, let's take a look at one more because this one's a little bit less chalky. Now we got Shane McClanahan and Yusei Kikuchi. Kikuchi down, looks like he is 7th overall in terms of top 2 pitcher odds, 14% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. And then the stacks for this one, we have the Reds as the primary stack. It looks like just the Reds, and then 3 one-offs with Byron Buxton, Nico Horner, and Francisco Alvarez. The Reds in the top stacks tool are 4th overall with a 10% chance of being a top stack. All right, now I'm going to go through and I'm just going to save 20 lineups, see what kind of exposures we have. At the end, you'll see that this meter is going to bounce over the place, some chalky, some contrarian lineups throughout. All right, so after 20 lineups, we have 70% Seiya Suzuki, 60% Patrick Wisdom, 50% Young Gomes, 50% Garrett Cole, 50% Christopher Morel, and Dansby Swanson as well before we drop down to 40% Starling Marte. I think with this 20 lineup set, I would probably come back and cut back on some of my Cub stacks. I think I'd probably try to get down to about 50% as my max exposure for any Cubs bats is probably what I would be comfortable with. But again, every lineup we have is going to be plus EV. You could play 20 lineups that all have Seiya Suzuki in them if you wanted to. You could still be making a plus EV lineup set. It's just a little bit more risk than I would like to take on, so I would probably cut it back to at most 50% of any stack, and I would do that just by going over here, deleting some stacks that have Suzuki and Patrick Wisdom in them. And then you can go back, and after you've deleted some, you can go back at the bottom here and say, get more lineups. And I just go search for some that are, I discard any Cubs lineups, try to find some that are not Cubs stacks. All right, let's take a look at some FanDuel lineups as well. Do all stack types, all lineup types, not locking anybody. All right, Garrett Cole as the pitcher in the first one. Looks like we have a 4-3 Giants Mets. No, 4-2-2 Giants Mets twin stack with Garrett Cole as a pitcher. So starting with the top pitchers tool on FanDuel. Garrett Cole, top of the board, 11% chance of being the top pitcher. On FanDuel, the top stacks tool. Mets third overall with a 10% chance of being the top stack. Twins 8% chance of being the top stack, fifth overall. And then we have the Giants as the primary stack there. Kind of middle of the pack. Giants 6% chance of being the top stack. Some nice positive leverage at 5% ownership, 10% chance of being the top point per dollar stack, and 6% top stack odds. So it looks like a nice lineup. And very contrarian here, which, it's always fun to play these contrarian lineups in the large field GPPs. This would be a good one. All right, I'm going to save this one. Once again, our second lineup here is a Giants Cubs stack. It's a 4-4 Giants Cubs stack with Garrett Cole as a pitcher. We just looked at the Giants, and the Cubs are top of the board, 14% chance of being the top stack as well. All right, now I'm just going to go through and save 20 lineups, see what kind of exposures we get. A lot of contrarian lineups today. We got a 65% Garrett Cole, 65% Nico Horner. Not an extreme amount of anybody else. Drops down to 45% Ian Happ. Once again, I think I'd probably go back and get rid of some of these Nico Horner lineups, try to, spread out to some non-Cub stacks a little bit more, maybe try to get that down to about 50%, but not too concerned with this exposure. This is pretty flat, so not a huge concern. If you don't have the time, I'd be fine just playing this 20 lineup set as well. All right, that is going to do it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Again, if you haven't hit the like button, please do. It really does help me out a lot. Good luck tonight.